Hello, I am the Geek Protagonist, and today, because I need to do these two, and also because this is like my main thing I'm into, besides movies, doing a comic book review today. And this comic book, Renato Jones, The 1%, Season 1. Check it out. Now, I'm also giving you some of these, adjustment there, to give you possibly something else to read if you're like kind of dry on the main ones, and I know they're starting to slowly kind of implement them back in, but you might be hungry for comic books, and I know I've noticed a lot of people are, so I don't just read the main stuff. I read all types of stuff. Something that may catch my fancy, I might just pick it up out of curiosity, which is why Free Comic Book Day is so disappointing, because normally I'll be able to find some graphic novels and things for good prices that I don't normally or may not normally go for, and I'll grab them. And I was actually I have a whole plan how I do Free Comic Book Day, and it just got blown out the water. I know Marvel apparently did some kind of free comic book thing this month. I didn't even do it. I'm going to my comic shop next month, so hopefully they have some comics left over, but we'll see. I think it's kind of dumb. I think Marvel should just did it with everybody else. So I love this. So on the bottom is put created, written, drawn, colored, and owned by Kyle Andrews. Now I have a little bit of knowledge about him, so I'm bringing him up on here. Now, I can say right off the bat, I know he did Iron Fist because that artwork was dynamic. I don't have the Immortal Iron Fist thing, but when I think of Iron Fist artwork, like there's one where he's like, I think of that. And I mean, check it out as I'm showing it to you. Kyle Andrews is a comic book writer, artist, and filmmaker from Saskatoon, Canada. I think that's how you say it. Saskatoon, Canada. His works include Spider-Man, Iron Fist, Renato Jones, and Incredible Hulk. I have some stuff with Incredible Hulk with him. Andrews has a diverse drawing style which ranges from hyper-realistic to more cartoonesque. Now, I think he also did Marvel manga, because I actually have one. I have to get the second book. I was really into the Marvel manga story. To me, it kind of went a little off the rails a little bit, but overall, I liked it. He was the first recipient of the Schuster Award for Outstanding Artist for his work on Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus. And let's see here. Writer's Block, Wonderland, Intrigue, Before the Fantastic Four, Ben Grimm and Logan. If you don't know what that is, I've actually read that. I might actually have that comic. It's probably in my big comic book collection. So when Ben Grimm was in the military, it actually has a thing where Ben Grimm, aka The Thing, and Logan, aka Wolverine, actually did a mission, like a couple military missions together, before they both, were the renowned superheroes. Of course, Wolverine was Wolverine, but he was just, a soldier at that time. Gen 13, 64, and 65 artists only. Spider-Man, Tangled Web, Marvel Mangaverse, Spider-Man. I knew he was in there somewhere. Spider-Man, Legend of the Spider-Clan, which is also part of the Mangaverse. Ultimate X-Men, he was an artist for 23, 24. Thundercats, Battle of the Planets. I did not know that existed. I love crossovers, and I try to grab them whenever I can. You'll see as the channel goes, I need to get my hands on that. I did not know or forgot that existed. If you're wondering what that is, so Thundercats, of course, is Thundercats, with the Lion-O and everything. Battle for the Planets, we had in America as G-Force. They were the people with the bird helmets. They kind of were like Power Rangers, before Power Rangers. But after Sentai, because they were based off of Sentai. Yeah, I'm going to have to get that one. But anyway, on to the review. He's like age 45. So, first and foremost, I actually came across this. This was produced by Image Comics. And I actually came across this because I was actually just looking at, I think I was looking at his artwork after I saw his name in Marvel Mangaverse. And I think I saw something where somebody said something about the comic and it was the first issue. And then I saw that they had the trade paperback. It goes, a sort of hallucinatory rage pop Punisher from Occupy. It's gorgeous and also demented. And this is from now the infamous. Soon I'll be talking about the situation because I think it's a little crazy. But that's from the infamous Warren Ellis. And the character's catchphrase is choke on this. Now what I do also love is that on the back cover, you see here, but if you actually look, I don't know if I can get the light to kind of shine off of it. It actually has words in there. It says, let them come for me. Let them eat me whole. And let them choke on this. Get it? So, yeah. It's actually pretty cool. It's a cool fresh catchphrase. And then you got Nerdist. If Carrie Andrews is drawing a comic book, we will be reading that comic book. Nobody else brings the energy and life he delivers on every page. This guy is a very talented artist, and I feel Carrie Andrews is underrated. And I literally check out Marvel Spider-Man, and when I show you this artwork and Iron Fist, it's like 3 different complete art styles. That's incredible. Andrews' art here is stellar and tour de force of drama and action. An entertaining comic book that gives no quarters and doesn't hold its punches. A cathartic that's comics verse. A cathartic comic with a familiar yet still interesting protagonist that anchors the zany, relentless, and often disturbing thrills. Pop Optic. So, matter of fact, I'll read you the back passage. The 1% own more than half of the world's wealth. They've crashed economies, bought governments, and have amassed more power than any other group in history. And they still don't have enough. With this kind of power, how can anyone make them pay? Who will make them pay? Enter Renato Jones, a mysterious vigilante out to even the score. From acclaimed creator Kyle Andrews, Iron Fist, Living Weapon, Spider-Man Reign comes a supercharged capitalist action thriller for a post-Great Recession world. So yeah, so when this was written, this was talking about when a lot of people were doing the Occupy things, like they were occupying like the White Houses and stuff like that. Now the character's name here, his real name is, the character's name is Renato Jones, but I'm going to call him the Vigilante. There you go. I kept about to say superhero. The Vigilante name, aka superhero name, is actually the Freelancer. I won't show that page because that might, right off the bat, has a little spoiler. So you want to be a comic book creator. Now, this is what's so cool. That's the thing that stood out for me. So in this, he actually gives you a little bit of advice if you want to try to write a comic book. It's not always easy. Like, yes, I know a lot of people go, oh, but you could just produce your own comic. There's still a lot of factors there. You got to learn about the printing, inking, the artwork, editing, stuff like that. And maybe a little difficult to do that on your own. In a world of remakes and remixes, reimaginings and reboots, you have your own ideas. Redoing isn't doing enough. Reworking isn't working for you. So create. Create with fire and blood, spit into the sky, and birth something new. Now, I'm only reading it to that point. If you buy this book, you'll see everything else. It's very inspirational. This part here about, like, you matter. It says things like that, like what you have to say matters. And I agree. And this also goes for myself included. If you have a story or something you want to tell, whether it be comic book, video game, movie, or anything, I say try it. See what it is. See if you can learn from it. I'm still, even for myself, I'm still trying to decide what kind of story I want to tell, because I do know a lot of people advise don't take the great story that's in your head and make that your first comic. You want your first thing to kind of be a stumbling block kind of thing where you could do some stuff. You don't want, make it as easy, as smooth as you can to kind of get all the kinks out. Maybe to learn some things. You're like, oh, okay, now I know this. I write faster than I thought, or I do slower than I thought, or oh, I actually think I could do the artwork for this, or ooh, this actually took me a lot longer. Like, do that to do it. And crowdfunding's out there, and there are people, especially if they see something eye-popping, a lot of times people are willing to give you a chance. At least I try, as much as I can. And yeah. Now, for anyone that's creating a comic, something I am going to say, just because I think I've noticed that a lot of people who do it in the beginning, they all kind of say the same thing, and I agree with it. Try to have your comic done first, or the majority of it done, so you can kind of get through all of that hell if there's any missteps or anything. So basically, your main worry is the printing. Because crowdfunded stuff, independent stuff, even some of the mainstream stuff, is known to be late, and that kind of annoys people. The super rich are super effed. So, this is the Jones estate. You see the guy's birthday. Check out that artwork right from the back. Really good stuff. Let's see here. You kind of see some imagery from the beginning. Beautiful black and white artwork. Just like, look how the panels tell you the story without words. And I didn't show you the previous panel because that's a spoiler, but look at that. Without words. You'll see like them dealing with some people, they're talking. You kind of meet the protagonist. It's funny because he's like he kind of, I remember I showed this to one person and they said it reminded them of like a Batman Punisher. So I actually said, you mean Red Hood? And it wasn't even something like I thought about. It just came out. I'm like, you mean like Red Hood? Because Red Hood is funny. When it comes to DC, some of my favorite characters are connected to Batman, but I like them like a lot. Like, so, for example, Red Hood hands down is one of my favorite characters. I love his journey to doing stuff. Nightwing is one of the top DC characters for me. Like, there's a lot of characters connected to Batman that I really, really enjoy. I like The Flash, Barry Allen, Wally West. Wally West is amazing, and they just keep dogging him out, but that's neither here nor there. So part of the reason why I haven't really picked up yet, because I'm trying to figure out what I want to grab. We're not going to get into Wally West right now. I do not like that they made him a murderer, even with the redemption arc. But the redemption arc was okay. I'm checking it out, so we'll see. Anyway, back to the story. You see this guy. He's kind of acting like a jerk. They're kind of talking. You see him. He does have some Batman traits, like how he infiltrates, how he talks to people. You see them doing the whole 1%. Because the way this goes, they kind of play off of the 1% being like totally out of touch to some degree. But the artwork, really good. A lot of cool storytelling. Completely changed from the previous panel, right? There's these other cool things, like comic book for the super rich. So I'm only going to show you one of these. He actually did like perfume ads. But you see like something happening on the ship. Some crazy stuff's going on. Something's happening because things are going crazy. And it's like, oh, what is going on? What's happening with the thing? Now, the reason why he reminds me more of Red Hood in some avenues, there was a comic when, I'm trying to remember, I think they did the Red Hood Outlaw. It was after the Outlaws broke up, and then he did it was before Red Hood Outlaw. There was like a stint where like Red Hood was doing something, so he would do this thing where he would like leave the guy he was going to take out, like a red like scarf or something, and he would just go after them, and he kind of just went to this thing. where he just started going after. Might have been before Outlaws. Either way, he just started going after people, and he would do things and he would infiltrate too. And that's the other reason why I said like Red Hood. But this is still a little different because this is specifically about the 1%, and you do see that the 1% have some advantages in certain things. It's very interesting storytelling. But I definitely have to say I do think this was a little bit inspired by Batman in some degrees, like Year One. But you see some crazy situations happen. Beautiful ads. I don't even know how this dude got these ads done with these like live action people. You see a situation with how this character became Renato and the stuff that's going on. Who is he really? Or at least you get some backstory because there's like a mystery surrounding Renato. It does get solved in this, sort of. But there's stuff there. And then it kind of goes back and forth to his past and the present. I can show you this because it doesn't really spoil anything. So past, present. Then you see the situation with stuff going on. You get your first taste of Freelancer. And it's reflecting back and forth with the situation that happened when he was younger and the situation that's happening in current. And it kind of does something a little different. We find out who he is and what he has to do. Freelancer has an awesome battle, and it's like they're dealing with it, but then it keeps hopping back to the past and the present, and how the story goes is very interesting because you get to learn about Freelancer, and you also get to learn about Renato and how he went into the situation, how he was trained, like what was going on, and kind of like this hard like lesson that he learns, but then it takes him back into the future situation. It's like, whoa, that's crazy. And the other cool thing is that when you look at his gun, it is a gun knife. It actually has a blade on the bottom that he can use, and then he has, of course, the gun portion itself. And it's like has a explanation to how the rich see people. I want to show you this page because it's such a beautiful page, but you can't really see something, so I don't think this is a spoiler. Beautiful splash page. I don't want to show too much of the stuff in it too. But then you like see how the Freelancer deals with certain stuff. And it's like you're getting your introduction to this character. And it's like the first case, but then you see what goes on in his head and you see what's happened in his past. And the way Kerr does it, he kind of brings it all together. And I think that's so cool that he grabs it and he brings it all together. And the one thing to kind of get through it like this, but then you also get a great standing idea to who the Freelancer is and who Renato is. And Renato's doing his missions. You get to see certain things that he does, which does remind me of Batman with some of his charity and things. And it goes, let them come for me, let them eat me whole, and let them choke. And then he has this thing, choke on this, where it shows him like in the shadow. Then you see something that you're going to kind of laugh about. That's what I was looking for. Now, this is... I'm trying to remember when this comic was made. Does it say? I don't think it says it. At least not here. Oh, and just so you know, it was lettered by, I know, very late. It was lettered by Jeff Powell, edited by Sebastian Gerner, flats by Alice Ito, and inspiration Nicole Andrews. Yeah, it doesn't say a year. I can't remember. Anyway, basically a version of Donald Trump. But I don't. I think he wasn't. I think he was. He announced he was running when this came out. There is a little bit of adultness to it, not in too much. It's kind of like watching a show on FX, TV 14. So put it to you like that. You see brief nudity, but nothing over gratuitous. Cool cars, fast things. Like I said, in some aspects, basically, oh, you know what? Yeah. It shows him doing it, and all right, we're going to rephrase that. This is like rated R, but light rated R, not TV 14. I forgot about this other part. So, yeah, we're going to say that this is a rated R comic. This comic is for adults. It's mature. There is nudity, but it's more showing, but it's used for specific reasons. But you do learn a lot about the character, situations, his relationships with people as the story goes. Also, how they came up with his weapon, his training, which was actually very, very cool. His determination. And then you actually see him infiltrating another situation. And it's, we're going to put it to you like this. It's a bad situation that deals with one of the most taboo things. I'm not going to say what it is. Not because I can't, just because I want you to read it really badly. But you see him go off. And it's really awesome. And the way he uses, Kara uses like stretches, things like that. What he does to get situations going. This mission, it's great. Who he rescues, and then how he like plays up a situation with these guys, and how he's really becoming something like dangerous to the rich. And there's a scene in here that reminds me of Batman Year One. Remember when all the mob bosses, if you didn't see it, you can watch the cartoon or read the comic. But actually, it even happened, a version of it happened in Batman Begins. The scene that Joker walked in. Well, the original thing I know from Batman Year One, Batman walked in on them and pretty much told all of them, like, you're the elites, you're the dangerous, I'm coming for you. And it was great because he, like, puts the cover over the fire to let them know, like, I'm coming. And his character's name is Freelancer, and it's great. But he kind of ends up popping in on him, kind of thing. And it's really, really cool. So, because I'm going to show you this scene, it's going to show you another Rich thing. But that's like him talking with them, telling them what's happening, and there's another one. Really good stuff, like High Society. And it's cool because when it gets to the next chapter, it starts to remind you in some aspects of Sin City. So it's like a combination. It's like Batman meets, Punisher, Eagles Red Hood, and Sin City. There's even a shot in here. I mean, that looks like right out of Frank Miller. And it's not all black and white. If you haven't noticed, there is color. But it's cool because it's like Andrew, like Kerr plays the colors up, and he'll do the black and white, and then you'll see like color, and the color will play off of, well, the black and white is this thing, and it's gritty, and it's this, and it's very flat colors, but then you'll see like urban life, and then it's like wonderfully colorful, and the art's a little different, but in a good way. Because you're supposed to get a different feeling with it, and I think that's so cool. And you kind of see how the situation goes, what it turns into, some of what these guys deal with. He has a super villain or two that he ends up getting into fights with. Fantastic. Some of this crazy situations of like people and how they're slipping and just the whole situation. You see this other dude, it's kind of funny because he reminds you of a comic book character, but it's like he's totally serious. And you start to figure out how he works his way into stuff with his training, who he is, who the people are, and it's like he's helping people because of the way a lot of the 1% end up seeing people. So he's constantly helping them. And it's funny because if you pay attention to the ads, they're actually insults to some degrees. And it's just really good. And you see that he's dealing with a lot of his childhood trauma. He's dealing a lot with his personal life stuff. But then it's situations that leads to him as an adult. And what he's dealing with. And I just think it's really cool. And it's like he takes these liberties. So like this splash page. Now there's the other two splash pages with the close-up. But it works for the scene that he does. And this guy really knows what he's doing. And yeah. I personally think it's a great comic. You see his actual first mission, which is interesting. The girl that he deals with and how he does, and when you first see it, it's like yo, and it's not a long mission either. It's enough to give you a backstory, but then you're like, yo, that's so crazy, and it has things like these little messages inside as you're going through it, and talking about like how they're running, what they're running off of, and it's just really cool, and it's just such a perfect build up, and a play on stuff, showing some of these 1% and how evil some of them are, and how he has to keep infiltrating, and it's just great because these perfume ads have these messages, and the story really starts to kind of go into a direction, and it kind of all tightens up, and you find out like, oh wow, this guy's dealing with some crazy stuff, and some of these people and their ability and what they do, and it's just like, yo, this is nuts, man. And you start to see basically these insane situations and what this guy is doing. And here's something so cool. So something major happens, and then these are the next pages. This guy, like, he made a ridiculously artistic book. Now there's a couple pages afterwards that tells you, but I'm not going to go into it. Beautiful art. You'll like it. Trust me. So I'm going to actually say this. Now I'm very calm, but in all honesty, this blew my mind. This gets a rating of blew my mind. I totally love this. Renato Jones, The 1%, Season 1. It has great art. It has a very interesting story. It's a reflection of a specific time period. And I know some people might be like, oh, here we go with the rich and the thing. But it was written around that time, or it came out around that time when the 1% and everybody else were having these issues. But when you start to go into it, it's like, well, if these people have the power inside of like a comic book world, what can they do? And the freelancer isn't somebody who just walks in and goes, I can handle anything every time. No, he catches it sometimes. Actually, he catches bad ones. So yes, to me, if you're a person who likes reading like Red Hood, street level heroes, things like that, Batman, it's like Batman does meet Punisher with Red Hood, but if they were in Sin City. Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to go with that. So, Batman meets Punisher equals Red Hood in Sin City. And the reason why I say that is because the whole rich and infiltration, Bruce Wayne does that in the comics a lot. Red Hood does it too, but usually does the criminal worlds, but Bruce does it with, like, the high whatever's Punisher, because, vigilante Punisher is like the vigilante. And but Red Hood, because Red Hood is that combination of like a Batman Punisher, if he was able to do it. So this blew my mind. If you want to read something, the dialogue is very snappy without being over the top. The artwork is beautiful. It's different. It's expressiony when it needs to be. But then other times it'll change to like a more simplistic, like kind of brush style. You'll have panels that'll tell the story without you even reading it. If you want to read something different, and by a person who's extremely talented, in my personal opinion, Kyle Andrews, Renato Jones, the 1%. Next time, I will be reviewing the second one. Now, I don't know when the third one's going to come out. The pandemic has thrown everything into a loop, but I hope we do get a third one. This is the Geek Protagonist. I want you to stay safe, stay healthy, stay real, and I'll see you. Hey, thank you for visiting my channel. This is the Geek Protagonist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please, it'll really help me out in the channel if you actually share these videos, if you like what I'm doing. Please hit that bell notification. Hit it, click. This way you won't miss any of my videos. Also, there's a thing on there that says personal and all. Hit the all. This way you'll get them every time for the notifications. I'm trying to, grow, trying to do commentary about what's going on. And I want to thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. This is the Geek Protagonist. I'm out, and I'll see you.